Hey guys, people have chosen and everyone wanted me to do a murderous true crime episode today. I'm here to give you guys what you want. I wish I could make this short and sweet. This is my story time today. It all starts out at a flea market. Actually, it starts out with the fact that I used to be, for a very short period of time, an extreme couponer. I became obsessed with the concept. How are they able to leave the stores with 1,000 toilet paper rolls and have $4 to spend? I mean, it never made sense to me. That's how I get though. If I put my mind onto something that I want, I'm gonna keep at it until I can do it. And this is one of those moments, and it was nonstop. I will lose sleep until I can figure it out. And that's basically what happened. And eventually I got it. I was like, wow, it made so much sense. All of a sudden I had these huge hauls of shampoos and conditioners and everything you could think of in Target, a bunch of makeup because of the override. I mean, it was insanity. I was living with my mom and myself and my son living together. Eventually I had to use her storage, get this huge shelving unit and store all the stuff because it was getting overwhelming, and I didn't charge anybody for any of it. I just would give the stuff away because it was so much. I gave most of the stuff away because I felt weird charging people, and it was mostly friends and family, and I didn't really use the stuff because I different brand. I would go to my mom, she's like a bargain shopper, so I would go with her to the flea markets and things of that nature. We went to the flea market and I noticed that they were selling a bunch of the stuff, and so I was like, oh, maybe I could just do the same thing. I basically tried that, but I'm not a good salesperson. People would just try. I was just sitting there, not convincing people they would have to actually want it, because I just like, I don't know, just as a way to get rid of some of the stuff. I ended up meeting someone there who had their own section that they were selling. I would bring my son with me on some weekends and he would bring his kids with him. We got acquainted that way. He was so cool. He was just, Blue, you always go on this side, honey. You gotta enter from the other side like this. Okay, that's your side. Okay, you enter like that. Okay, this is mommy's side. Okay, you don't go on mommy's side. Okay, Blue, I'm gonna need you to get your booty like out of my face. I love you, but you be putting your butt first and stuff. I can't. Okay. All right. So, so he was just super cool, like super chill. He was Mexican, Hispanic Mexican. And so he would come in like wearing cowboy boots and stuff like that. And his kids were so adorable. And he's a Taurus like me, and Tauruses are really cool, really chill people. You could actually be nice to a Taurus and they're not going to think that they could just land in your bed. We genuinely find you as like a friend. We don't assume that you like us like that because you're being nice, you know? That's my experience with 99% of Tauruses that I interact with. And that's how it was with us. I felt a nice vibe. He also was a nurse at the time. He was working in this facility for like 14 hours a day, and he had full custody of his children. He had 2 babies' moms. He shared custody with one, but the other one, so he had full custody anyway. So he was, and I was living with my mom. I didn't really have that much going on. He propositioned for me to be a live-in nanny. That was my title. I even had to give him a resume and everything. This was the accommodation. I would live there, take care of his kids, rent-free. I had my own space. That was it. I was never paid or offered any money. But for some reason, I was okay with it. It was supposed to be for 3 months, just to see how everything went. I just wanted to see how it would go. And I liked that idea because I thought, okay, so if I'm living rent-free, then I could start working, get like a job and make money to move out. And honestly, I felt bad for the guy. I was like, you know, this doesn't sound like a bad idea. I love the kids. His youngest daughter was the same age as my son, and they got along so well, and she spoke Spanish, so she was teaching my son some Spanish, and it just kind of seemed like he's gone 14 hours in the day. By the time he gets back, he would get off of work at like 5 in the morning. Forgot his exact schedule. He would get home like, I don't know what time he would get home, but it was late. I wouldn't even see him practically. The original setup seemed ideal for me at the time, and a large portion of that is because my mom and I didn't really get along very well. I didn't really have anywhere else to go. I figured, why not just go, like leave, and not have to deal with, am I going to be fighting with my mom today? What's going to happen today? It just seemed like a more refreshing idea to go. It was also out of town. It was in a town called Auburn, California. The scenery was beautiful. The drive there and back was just nice. It just seemed like an ideal thing to do. I didn't move out of my mom's place. I still had a majority of my things there. Basically, I remember taking this plastic drawer with some clothes in it, and then another one for my son, almost like packing like an overnight weekend bag, a week vacation, because then we just reuse the same clothes and stuff like that. And then everything else that we needed, we would just buy new. That was another accommodation. It was that I was given a credit card to be able to buy the kids anything, clothes, whatever. The only thing was that I noticed on my days off, when I didn't have custody of Ryan, and when his other 2 kids would go with their parents, and it was me and his younger daughter, so it was almost like the attention was almost spotlighted. Whenever he would be around, I started to notice that he just started to be extra friendly or calling me a little more. Instead of saying, how are the kids once a day or once every other day, it was more like, okay, how are you? And then I would be invited to family events that I felt uncomfortable saying no to. I was also invited to a wedding. It almost felt like I was being reeled in, and I was all of a sudden in this position of lady of the house instead of just a nanny. Does that make sense? It was just so... He would start to post photos of he and I. He would post selfies of us and then post it on Facebook, and then his friends and family would like it, and it was just starting to feel a little personal. And of course, it was only for 3 months. Clearly, it was just one of those things where oh, and then he also made a comment one time that threw me completely off. It was almost as if by me being there to help was an indication that there could possibly be more to come in his mind, as far as maybe a relationship. But I wasn't thinking that way until it was too late, because then he came on to me in a very strong manner. Like, not very strong, but the words he was saying shocked me. I was like, oh. I was like, no way. Was this guy, is he drunk? He almost seemed really shocked, almost like his feelings were hurt. Plus, he had a gun inside of his house frivolously, and I am not a gun person. I know eventually I'm going to have to actually get a gun professionally. I'm going to go to a shooting range. I'm going to buy a nice gun and then wear it safely, clip it safely, go safely. Otherwise, I'm not a huge fan of willy-nilly carrying like, I'm not a huge fan of that. I'm not a violent person. I don't like that. I didn't ever sit well with me. I have a son, and then one night he woke me and my son up out of our slumber and was like, have you seen the gun? Oh my god, have you seen the gun? I was like, no, I don't know where your gun is, bro. So it was just getting to a point where it wasn't working out. Also, something that he had introduced me to in the beginning that I thought was harmless, but it actually ended up sitting with me for life, because I will never forget. I'm afraid. I've seen this particular skeleton thing. I've never taken it personal. It's a culture thing. I guess they call her Marietta, and she represents that Hispanic skull, the colorful skull. I'm going to take a screenshot of it, and I'm going to add it on here. So you guys understand that he was obsessed with this person. He had a shrine of this person. And I had no clue about this person, so it wasn't like a red flag for me. I was like, okay, that's cool. Like, I mean, a little bit weird, but everyone's a little weird. I like Eminem. Some people think that's really weird. I guess she was like the mother of death, or I'd have to look into it again. But I had a coworker who actually hung up a huge thing on Halloween with the skeleton. I couldn't even sit near her. She had to take it down. I am traumatized. Every time I see this, run into it, I literally have to go the other way because my mind has been tainted. I can never ever get near that little skeleton thing. I ended up leaving one time when my son was away. I didn't come back for the weekend, and when I went back, I brought a friend with me to go and pick up my things. I guess I had been gone a long time. The whole time that I was there, he would mention to me about how his younger daughter's mother was bat insane in the membrane. Absolutely nuts. Just the typical rant of a guy calling his ex crazy, but it was more than that. He had court documents with back and forth and custody and drug usage. He really painted her as a very, very out of control human being. They broke up apparently, and that's why he needed the nanny and this and that. But when I never met her before, but when I got there to pick up my things, she was there. And she was like cleaning up and, and she was being a little catty with me. I was like, who? I don't even know who you are, but whatever. And it was a little awkward. So I got my belongings as fast as I could and I hustled up out of there very quickly. But apparently, I guess, is that they ended up getting back together. And, I hadn't known this until a few months later because I had lost contact, but his kids always stuck with me. I missed them a lot. I remember I genuinely lost the number and I had a WhatsApp with a new phone and I ended up getting an iPhone, and for some reason the iPhone that I pulled up, it opened up a lot of other contacts because he had 2 daughters and a son, and the son is the middle child. His son and I were close. I love him so much. His son, like all of a sudden when I got this new phone and I downloaded the WhatsApp, this was months later, and my phone rings. And it's his son. I'm not going to say his name. I'm going to say his name so that way you guys could look it up. I'm not going to say his kids' names, but I'm going to say his name. I'm going to pull up the article and screenshot it so you guys can have a look-see for yourself. But my phone rang and it was him. It was calling me FaceTime on WhatsApp, and I was like, oh my God. I was like, hello? And he was like, hey, so we were just talking. I was like, oh my gosh, what's up? How are you? I was just so happy. And he was talking to me like usual. I noticed his older sister was there, and she loved me. Like, she and I were close. I was like her older sister or something like that. She thought of me as like she was just really cool. And she was very talented. She was really into like fashion and drawing and putting things together. And for her age, she could... Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if she's famous right now. Hopefully she is. I know she was there, but she wasn't really saying much. She wasn't as excited as, I'm going to call him as A and I were. But I continued to talk and, hey, mama. Yeah, I know. I continued to talk. We were catching up like old times, and he started telling me about how he liked a new school. It was a little different because now that they're in a grade higher, he's not in school with Olivia, so they get off at the different times. How Olivia didn't like the water at her school, and I remember when I was there, I would buy the water bottles and put it in the fridge, and they would have like the water bottles. So I was like, you know, maybe you could have your dad get like the water bottles, so that way she could have water bottles in the fridge. And he's like, oh, you didn't know? I was like, what? Didn't know what? He's like, what? I thought you knew. You knew. No, wait. I was like, no, what? Oh my God, don't tell me. The first thing I thought was that his dad died. I don't know. I don't know why I thought that at first. I didn't say that, but I was like, I was bracing myself for that. He said, my dad killed someone. He murdered someone. My dad's in prison. I was like, literally, you could have, that was it for me. I was completely and utterly blown away. I was like, who did he kill? He killed Nevaeh's mom, the girl that was there, the girlfriend. He shot her, killed her, murdered her. Why do you keep going on this side? There's nothing over here. It's just my pillows. Yeah, that's the story time. I lived with a murderer for months. I couldn't believe it. And the reason I couldn't believe it is because he is the last person you would think. He's a nurse, super caring and attentive. You know how nurses are. But after some thinking, there were some red flags that I'm so glad that God stayed with me during that time and protected me and my son, and he knew I needed to get out of there. It's just, it could have been me. It could have been me. And not only did he kill her, he shot her with that gun, but he also blasted her in front of their daughter. I'm going to be sick, very sick. So I'm going to go now, but I hope you guys, well, I don't know if I hope you enjoy it. How could you enjoy this? This is a travesty. But if you enjoyed it, please like, comment, and let me know if these are the types of stories that you'd like to hear. I don't have any more of these. I don't. That's as far as it goes. Thought I'd spruce up my page a little bit since I haven't been posting, but I'm back. I'm back. And I'm here to sprinkle y'all's timeline with some finesse in the next. It's coming. Don't you worry. It's brewing. I've got my ideas. I'm coming back to life. And of course, we have one person to thank for that one. Thank you, God. 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 Love you. Always will. It'll never change. And I love you guys too. I look forward to hearing from you and your comments and your opinions, your feedback, anything. I'm just kidding. All right, so talk to you guys later. Bye.
Remember when I hated my life and I said I didn't want to die, but I did. Now I know the reason why I'm still alive. It's because of the sky. Can you guess it right now? Are you wondering how I found love so fast? And I know this love will last. How do I know? How do I know? He's with me from the start. He was always in my heart. With me from the start. Oh, always in my heart. With me from the start. Oh, always in my heart. Let's stray far. Here you are, Jesus. I love you, Jesus. I love you. straight from the hood. That Jesus loves you, this we know. Never leave your side and he'll lead you home. He's with me from the start, he was always in my heart. With me from the start, oh, always in my heart. With me from the start, oh, always in my heart. Though I stray far, here you are, Jesus. I love you, Jesus. Not by the ambulance, but by the Holy Ghost.